Okay, so this is your second session. Last week you came and we kind of talked about some of your history, and then we talked about CBT and using that maybe as an option this week. And so we kind of just want to talk about how your week went last week, and if there's anything you want to talk about this week.
Yeah, I've been struggling a lot at work this past week and feel like a failure and like I'm gonna get fired.
Okay, so you feel like a failure because you're struggling at work. So, what exactly at work are you struggling with that's making you feel that way?
Well, I've had a really high caseload this past month and I've been struggling to keep up with it. And I just feel like I'm not getting anything turned in on time and that um, my supervisor and my boss are really disappointed in me and that I'm slacking as a worker.
Okay, so your caseload and your time frames are just giving you a hard time right now, and it makes you feel like you're failing and that you're gonna get fired.
Yes.
Okay, and so have you gotten any negative feedback from your supervisor, and who else did you say?
My boss.
Have you gotten negative feedback from either of them?
No.
Okay. Have you gotten any positive feedback from either of them?
Yeah, my supervisor said I've been doing a pretty good job.
Did she specifically say why you're doing a good job?
She just said I was doing pretty good at keeping up with my time frames and making sure I got things turned in when they were supposed to be, and that I've been interacting really well with my families.
Okay. Have you gotten any positive feedback from your families? Have you gotten any negative feedback from your families?
No.
Nothing negative or positive?
No.
Okay. So she said that you're doing really well with time frames. What about your boss? Have you gotten any one way or the other feedback from him?
No, I don't really talk to my boss that much at work.
Okay. So, so the feelings that you're feeling that you're failing, where do you think those are stemming from? Because you're getting positive feedback from your supervisor and nothing negative from your boss or families.
I just feel like my caseload being so high is really stressing me out, and I just feel like I'm not giving my all to the families like I was before, and that I'm just really not getting things turned in as fast as I probably could be.
Okay. But they are getting turned in on time, you said. Your supervisor said your things were getting turned in on time?
Yeah, but I used to get them turned in at a faster pace than I am now, so it just feels like I'm not doing as good of a job as I used to.
Okay. So moving forward, um, what are some things that you can tell yourself or remind yourself when you're starting to feel this way again? Like, let's say going into next week, your caseload is still pretty high, but you're still getting positive feedback. You haven't gotten anything negative. So, what are some things that you can remind yourself so that you don't feel this way?
I guess I can remind myself that my supervisor said I'm doing a good job, and I'm still getting things turned in on time, even though it's hasn't been really the way that I used to work.
So you're not ahead of time, but you're not behind either.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a positive, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So let's say next week you're starting to feel these feelings again. Like, what do you want to write them down? Like the positive things? What's a good way to remind yourself that, the thought that you're having right now maybe isn't productive and that it's maybe not the most realistic point of view? So what's a way to look and maybe remind yourself that you could think differently?
I guess I could start writing things down. Maybe give myself some sticky notes of the positive things I've been doing or the feedback I've been getting. Or I used to write in a journal the good things that were happening, if I was getting positive feedback from my family or my supervisor or boss, and um, just kind of little notes here and there to remind me of how I've been doing a good job and that I'm not actually failing. It's just something that I'm overthinking in my head.
And so when you did that in the past with the journal, did it work? Like, did you feel like you could change the way you were thinking in the moment?
It was good to go back and kind of read it and know that even though at that time I wasn't really feeling too great, that there was a day that all of these positive things were happening and I was feeling good about myself and how I was doing at work, and that my supervisor knew I was also doing a good job, and just kind of reminding myself that things are actually okay even when I feel like they aren't.
So overall, we talked about you having a hard week because you were struggling with some time frames on your cases and just having a high caseload, and then identified that your supervisor is still giving you very positive feedback and that your cases are still getting turned in on time, right? Even if they're not as fast as they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not actually failing anything and probably not getting fired.
Yeah.
And we're going to put some post-it notes. And so when you start to, what are some triggers that you'll know that you should like maybe take a break and read the post-it notes or the journal that we've discussed? Like, are you able to identify when you're starting to feel that way?
Yeah, I guess I usually know whenever things are starting to happen. A lot of times when I actually look at my caseload and see how many cases I have, or if I get a phone call from a parent and they don't feel I've been doing as much as I should be for the case, those are the things that kind of trigger me. But I know that I can't be perfect with every family, and not every family is really going to work with me the same as my previous families I've worked with. So I guess it's really not always on me, but it just kind of feels that way and worries me that my supervisor and my coworkers are going to be disappointed in me.
So do you feel like these, the ideas with the post-its and the journal and things like that will be able to, remind you that you're not failing, remind you that your coworkers and your supervisor are supportive of you, that you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're doing it pretty well, so you don't feel this way next week?
Yeah, I think if I'm able to look up and see notes of kind of the positive things that I'm doing, it'll probably help what I'm feeling at that time and remind me that even whenever I feel like I'm failing, I'm not actually failing and I'm doing a good job.
Okay. So last week we kind of discussed the miracle question, and if you woke up tomorrow and this problem was gone, like how would you feel and what would that look like for you?
I guess if I woke up tomorrow and it was gone, I would probably go into work happy and excited to start the day, and I would know that I was keeping up with my workload and I wasn't disappointing anyone or any of my families, and that my supervisor was proud of what I was doing, and I knew that I wasn't going to get fired and I was just overthinking things. So I guess I would go in with an open mind and a happy heart, just knowing that just doing my job was doing enough.
And do you think that these things that we've suggested this week will help you get there next week?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Okay.
I think that's all.
Okay. Well, I think we'll revisit it next week and kind of see if this helped change your thought process a little bit when you're starting to feel down or like a failure, even when, everything around you is telling you that you're not. Hopefully you're able to recognize that and kind of use the tools that we've given you to change that thought process a little bit. And if not, then we can continue to work on it and identify other things to help you realize, what train of thought you're going down and where you would rather go with it.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Thanks.